So I'm Gail. I'm from District Attorney Michael Morrissey's office, and I'm here today to talk about scams and fraud. You must all be familiar with scam calls. I know I am.
Yep.
I receive them a lot. So I want to just kind of give some of the red flags of what scam calls are. I received a scam call on my way here on my cell phone, and I did not answer it. So first and foremost, one of the biggest red flags of a scam is any caller, any text message, email, message on social media, just take a seat. Any correspondence that asks for information, personal, financial, or otherwise, that it's unsolicited. You did not reach out to an organization or a law enforcement or government agency and initiate contact, and they're responding to you. So when you get, whether it's the IRS or they say it's Social Security or Medicare, whatever it may be, if you're receiving any kind of phone call or text or email or whatever the case from any of those kind of agencies, businesses, law enforcement, then you should automatically think, okay, there's a good chance this is a scam, or they're phishing for personal or financial information. And so, as a rule of thumb, I always just recommend, or experts recommend, that you just don't answer any phone calls that you don't recognize as a family member or a friend. You cannot trust caller ID. Caller ID can be manipulated with software or computer software or an app on a phone to say whatever a scammer wants to say. It could say Millis Council on Aging or Millis Police Department or Social Security. They can have it read whatever they want to put in. You can have a seat anywhere.
Have you ever had your own name show up?
I've had my own name show up, yes, and my own phone number. They can put a phone number, any phone number they want. They can actually put the real phone number so you believe that it is a legitimate phone call. Text messages are the same thing. It can say whatever they want it to say. And text messaging actually is becoming more common for scams because they know people will react quicker when they, especially young people, will react quicker to a text message. And oftentimes in a text message they'll have a link for you to click on. As a rule of thumb, don't click a link on any email or text message. You can have a seat anywhere you are.
I was told that even if you open those text messages,
No, I'm going to be leaving. Come back.
You could, yes. Yes, and as a matter of fact, if you click on a link in an email, you could actually be allowing the scammer remote access to your computer. And now they have access to everything in your computer, your passwords, usernames, any kind of accounts, financial information, personal information, and photographs. So again, as a rule of thumb, do not click a link from an unsolicited text message or email. Yes?
He also says, like, if you don't recognize the number, don't pick it up on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
It could also be, I don't know, trace you somehow.
If you
That's
do,
what he says.
no, I don't pick it up
Don't
if I
pick
don't.
it up.
that's right, that's as a rule of thumb, general rule of
If it's
thumb. If you
important,
don't
I'll read your
recognize,
message.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
With text messaging, scammers, they're sitting in busy call centers overseas. This is their full-time job. This is what they do every day, all day, and they're good at it. They know what to say to make people respond without taking a deep breath and thinking rationally about their next steps. And they know too, if they send out this text message to 5 million people, and for instance, one that I receive at least a few times a year, it'll say that it's from Bank of America and that my account has been compromised,
Oh,
or
I get that.
Yeah.
Yes, and, or that there's fraudulent activity that they want to discuss with me. I don't bank with Bank of America, so I automatically know it's a scam, and I delete it. They don't care about the maybe millions of people that will just delete it because they don't bank with Bank of America. They know that they are going to reach, in those 5 million text messages that they send out, they will reach Bank of America customers, and those customers are more likely to respond to that text, and they know that. Where I do bank, I actually do receive text messages. I have set up, which is something that you might want to consider, I have set up with my bank I get a text message for a withdrawal limit. I liked that, and I also, when I do get a text message, I know the activity that I did, I expect that email. If I was to get an email for any fraudulent activity, instead of responding to that email, I will call my local branch. Which you always want to make sure that you contact a phone number that you verified as a legitimate trusted number. A trusted number that you have in your files, not one that you Google. Because if you Google, as a matter of fact, I recently was going to pay my Verizon cell phone bill. And I usually do it right on my phone. And I was calling for whatever reason, this was a few months ago. And I Googled Verizon for the cell phone 800 number. I got, and I knew immediately that it was a scam center. I knew by the questions that they asked me, by the way, that they talked to me, and I immediately knew what I had Googled was the incorrect phone number. I did not follow what the experts say, which is to get a trusted number. And to have it written down so it's at your fingertips when you do need it, so you don't do things like that. Thankfully I hung up because I immediately knew that it was a scam number. But that's how easy it is. It can happen. You can Google a scam phone number. You can Google a scam email address. So you have to make sure that you have trusted numbers. As a matter of fact, so I've created, and I brought some copies of this. These are phone numbers, trusted numbers, and some email addresses for some government agencies. You can add on the back your own customer service numbers from your credit card, your local branch of your bank, your utility company. You can put all that information on the back. So if you do get some kind of phone call or a text message or email, you'll have the trusted number that you can call back. Instead of Googling a scam number, or never call back the number that's on your caller ID. You might just be calling back a scammer, or one that's left in a voicemail. You could be calling back a scammer and believing that you're calling back the legitimate number. So it's good to have this at your fingertips for when you do get some kind of text message. Like I said, I get them all the time, and one of the reasons I get them all the time is I do answer the phone calls. Usually I know it's a scam. I do answer them just so I can hear what their pitch is, and it's just so I can share it with other people. I don't recommend anybody do that simply because these people, like I said, this is their full-time job. They're very good at what they do. They're good at getting information out of people. And you might not even realize it. So I don't recommend anybody do that, but I do it because I want to share information and make people aware of the most recent scams that are out there. Because I do that, I'm on what's like an active phone number list. So I will get more and more. Scammers, they sell these lists to other scammers and identity thieves, and so when you do answer your phone, you're on an active phone number list. So they know, somebody lives there, or somebody has this phone number, they'll answer. Yes?
You know, what difficulty I have is so many people don't have landlines anymore.
Right.
So I don't recognize the numbers.
Right.
So I don't know whether to do it. I just pick them up.
If
because
it's
I don't know.
important, they'll leave a message.
Right.
That is true.
Right.
And when they do leave a message, you have to know that if it's not a family member or friend leaving a message, that it could in fact be a scammer, and to make sure you verify. talk to somebody. You can call, when you get a phone call and they say it's Social Security or IRS or the local police, you can call here, you can call the local police at a trusted number, their business line, you can ask them. There are a lot of resources that are available to help. Yes?
Yeah, when I look for the phone rings, I look at the number. If I don't recognize it, I don't answer it.
Right.
And if it's one of my daughters, I call her back. And I don't keep my answering machine on, because then they know they have a live number.
Good. Well, a lot of people have like the automated, the voicemail, not so much an answering machine, but that's also a good rule of thumb.
Because the only ones that I would be answering is my family.
Right.
And anybody else, and I heard or read somewhere that if you leave your answer machine on, they know they have a live number.
They have a live number, yes. The scammers are, like I said, this is their full-time job and they're good at it. They worked very hard to be good at it. They could have been doing this for a number of years. They know what works.
Every other call I get is a scam.
Right, so a lot of cell phone providers, a lot of cell phone providers now, you can either get an app where you pay for it, or you can contact them and say, what services do you provide to help me recognize a phone call as spam or scam? It's a good idea to find out what they offer. For instance, my daughter, her cell phone provider is T-Mobile. And it will say spam when she answers it. Yeah.
AT&T.
So you can ignore those phone calls based on
I
that.
block them.
That's a good idea, but that's also, if you've ever received a scam call, it might be the phone number that comes up on your caller ID or the phone number that they ask you to return the call to, won't be in service in a few hours or the next day. And that's because they change their numbers so frequently that blocking them is a good idea. You can actually report them. I believe it's on this list where you can report it through a text. If you get a text message, you can forward that text to a number, and they keep these numbers. They can actually use that information to notify people these numbers are scams, and it actually helps the cell phone providers. But the problem is they change the numbers so frequently. They just grab whatever phone numbers are available out of a number bank, and they use it. And they can change them 10 times a day or every other day or whatever they want. I've called back, again, just to hear the pitches, which I don't recommend anybody do, but I have called back and just kind of played, I block my number and I call back and I'll say, this is, Sally Jones, and oh, Sally, yes, you're on our list, and they don't realize that I'm playing them, but I just want to hear what they have to say. Oftentimes, when I call that number back, it says that the number's been disconnected. So they change the numbers so frequently that it's a good idea to block them because it might be another scammer that gets that phone number from that available number bank next month. So you've blocked that number. So, but to see, it's a good idea to see what your cell phone provider offers for protection from this. Yes.
After the holidays, I started getting phone calls. No names, just numbers.
I'm going to get to you one second. Sorry.
In the town where it's coming from.
Uh-huh.
It's everywhere from Hawaii down to Maine. And so I blocked them, but I'm getting like probably 10 to 12 a day now. So I feel like maybe when I was online one time that I might have clicked something of interest.
You could have.
And this is what's happened. So I've been blocking every one of them. But
if it just says a town, then it's spam.
Right, so I don't answer them. I just go in and block it. But I've probably had 6 or 7 this morning alone.
So is this on your cell phone?
Yeah.
So I would contact your provider,
Okay.
inform them,
Yeah.
and ask them, what do you, I pay you a lot of money for my cell phone service here.
Oh, okay.
What are you going to do to help me?
Oh, okay.
And hopefully they provide us. Sorry, he was next. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else, but we've done it several times. We've had our own number call us on a landline.
Yes.
And other numbers in town, okay, where the exchange you're familiar with you and you think it might be a friend.
Yeah.
trust nobody.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's, as a rule of thumb, you cannot trust your caller ID, whether it's the name or the phone number that's on it. I've received those too, and I can remember out of curiosity, this is going back, this could have been 8 years ago, and it was the first time I had ever received a phone call from my own phone number. And out of curiosity, I answered it. And there's been many instances since that I received phone calls from my own phone number. And I think that they know people are going to be like, wait a minute, this is my own phone number. And they'll be more inclined to answer it because of that. So you cannot
What
trust.
kind of information are they gonna get?
They're fishing for information that they can sell or use. Like I said, they're good at it, and if you've given out your, say, social security number, which you should never do, but if you did, a lot of people have because they think it's the IRS calling or social security or whatever they say it is. But once you give that information out, you've given it out and you don't know what they're gonna do with it. They might not do anything with it right away, and it could be a couple of years and nothing's happened and you think, oh, good. I dodged that bullet. They could use it 5 years from now or 10 years from now. So they didn't go through all that trouble to get personal information from you to do nothing with it. So the best way to protect yourself really is to order your credit reports. I actually brought, the information is on here, but I also brought, this is an FTC card, and it talks about fraud alerts and freezing your credit and stuff, but it has the phone number and the web addresses and the email addresses for the credit reporting bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You are entitled to 3 reports a year, 1 from each of the credit reporting bureaus. And by law, you can get them for free through annualcreditreport.com. Equifax, since their hack or breach in 2017, I don't know if anybody checked to see if they were part of that breach. 150 million people were. My husband was on that list, my parents were on that list, and several other people.
I get a freebie thing for a certain one.
So you're entitled to, if you were part of that breach, and if you weren't, you are entitled to free credit reporting. It's protection. They'll make sure that your personal information, your social security number, isn't used in fraudulent ways and on the dark web and things like that. And I don't believe it's 10 years. I think it was like 7 years or something. But it's a good idea. If you want to check, you can actually go on to the website, which is here, and make sure that you're not part of that breach. Like I said, I think it's really 2 out of 3 people were part of that breach.
Once you contact or get your credit report, are you supposed to be then ring the credit card?
So what you do is,
company?
when you get your credit report, and it's a good idea to spread them out so you can get those 3, but actually I believe Equifax, they're still giving more because of that breach. So you can spread it out over the course of the year. Maybe order Equifax now and a few other times during the year because you're entitled to them. And then get TransUnion, say 4 months later, and then Experian another 4 months later. And throughout the year, you'll have a good idea of any activity on your account. So you go through it when you receive it. It will actually come with a guide on how to read it. And so anything that doesn't look right or that you don't recognize, you just pick up the phone and call. You call the lender, you notify the credit reporting bureau. This handout talks about credit freezes and alerts, and you can always lock your credit. You just want to, it could be human error. I've found human error on my credit reports in the past. And you just pick up the phone and call that lender. And sometimes it could be something that you don't recognize because it had a DBA, a doing business as. So it might not actually, it could be an institution name, a financial institution name, but it was actually supposed to be, Old Navy. So you just pick up the phone and call, oh yeah, I have an Old Navy account. So you realize, okay, that's correct. You just go through everything on it and make sure that everything is accurate, and then you'll order one another, yes.
Yeah, we know people who've had their Venmo account hacked, and they actually got into their bank accounts through them.
Wow.
I've heard that before, and
It was a
somebody
nightmare
actually,
for 'em.
somebody here had just, before
Yeah.
this started, talked about their PayPal account.
Well, all it takes is some unhappy person who works for Venmo, okay, or somebody who wants to rip
You
you
make a
off.
good point, and that is what he said earlier too, is you can't really trust, you have to, whenever you're giving your personal or financial information, even if it's a credit card to a waitress or over the phone for reservations, and you give your credit card number over the phone, you're giving it to a stranger. And while, it could be 99.9% of the people that are taking that information are honest people, there are people that will take that information and they'll write it down on the side to either sell or use and, clone your card or whatever the case. So you always have to keep in mind, when you're giving your information to a stranger, you have to be proactive. Look at your bank account statements. Look at your credit reports. Look at your credit card statements when they come in. Just go through everything with a fine-tooth comb and deal with it right away. Contact the financial institution that issues your credit card. Call them immediately, because if you don't look at this information, you wait 4 months, they're not going to be able to help you. You do have protection when you use a credit card, and you want to contact your bank if anything doesn't look right on your statement. With something like that, with the Venmo, as a matter of fact, my son, his wallet was stolen about 2 years ago. And whoever stole it immediately tried to PayPal themselves with his Discover card. And we contacted PayPal right away, we contacted Discover, they sent out a new Discover card, they froze his PayPal, and was it you who had the PayPal? Okay. Yeah. So you have to make sure that you're contacting, though, a trusted number. So in that kind of situation, you wouldn't Google PayPal and get a web address or a phone number. You log into your account and find the number for customer service, where you make sure that you're going into your account. Unfortunately, these are the steps that you have to take to protect yourself. Mm-hmm. So you want to actually log into your account and get the information on the contact information on who to notify when you've been scammed. Did you give your PayPal account information? Is that what happened?
So I had something that I had purchased previously, and I had a problem with it because I kept getting charged for the service that I wasn't using. So the first time I talked to the service and they gave me the money back. Happened again. And apparently I bought it through PayPal. I use PayPal all the time, or did. And so then I said, okay, they're giving me the refund, this company, but I thought I should call PayPal and just see why they're paying this thing when I haven't authorized it.
Right.
So I went into what looked like, it was paypal.com/ it was a number that looked as if it was something where you'd call about a problem or fraud or something like that. And I think, and I have been taking notes, and that portion of the notes, and I keep praying to St. Anthony in case anybody cares about any of that, that he will help me find that, because he has in the past. Anyway, I don't know whether I spoke to somebody and then they said, here, call this number, and then I got Sean, and Sean totally brainwashed me into there's so much I don't know about computers, and he'd say, do this, and I'd say, gee, I really don't understand how to do it. I know plenty about stuff. I use my phone all the time, but all this stuff. So in the end, he had me, he had me allow him to get this service called Sun, S-U-N, that has the ability, if you had people in your business, you had people in your home, and you wanted to access their phones, I gave him the authorization to do that, and he set me up with that. That was number one.
All right,
Number
it sounds
two-
like Sean, you might have called Sean a scam,
The scammer.
a scammer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Not knowing.
yeah.
Not knowing. But the
So-
worst part of it was, then with the money went into the bank, and the whole ruse was supposedly that my PayPal account had been significantly frauded, hacked. He showed me the sheet of paper, he showed me this thing that meant nothing to me, but there were lots of things and repeated lots of things on it, which is actually something you can look at if you go down into your phone. And then, so I was so brainwashed about that in the back of my head, that then there was a bank account that the money that I got from buying $3,500 worth of Target cards.
That's
C-
one of the biggest red
CVS,
flags.
Roche Brothers, Shaw's, and.
So did
Walmart.
they instruct you to go to different stores? Is that it?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the stores then said, and my friend who I'm mad at right now because she said, I thought you were intelligent. Bullshit.
It is not,
Finding out
she
it
just, she
is
said
not
her
a
friend
matter
thought she
of
was, said to
that.
her, she thought she was intelligent. And I have to say, being scammed and frauded out of your personal information and your money is not a sign that you are not intelligent.
Thank you, and I wish
It is
you
not
would
a
do it.
matter of intelligence. It is not a matter of age. We are all vulnerable. These people, they're so good with technology. Like I said, they could have tons of sites online. You just happen to get,
Yeah.
Sean. You could have got another scammer. And that's why it's so important when something happens. So one scam that's happening a lot right now is Amazon. It actually happens year round, but a lot of people fall for it more around the holidays because they're using it so much. They're ordering online, they're ordering gifts for the holidays. And people respond quickly. It's usually a text message. I actually have some on my phone. I think I got them every single day for 2 straight weeks, and my kids did as well, because when I get these text messages, I usually screenshot it, send it out in our family text so that my kids, because my kids are in their 20s, and they're so vulnerable because they're that age group that they respond very
Right,
quickly to text
right.
messages. They
Because they
use
can.
Amazon a lot and all the different apps and things. So the first time I got it, I actually had just placed an order for Christmas gifts. So I went into my Amazon account, went into the orders, and you can actually notify them then that you've received this phone call. A text message, or however it may come. It may come as an email. Yes.
I got one that looked to be from my rabbi. And after going back and forth a few times, they asked me to go get some gift cards, and then I knew.
Oh,
So the gift cards, no government agency or law enforcement agency or legitimate business would ever request a payment by gift cards. That is the biggest red flag. That, and they will not ask for cash, and they will not ask for wired money. They certainly won't say, we'll pick it up from your house. Anytime that you receive any kind of phone call, text message, email, whatever it may be, and they ask for payment by gift card, it is a scam. It happens a lot on eBay,
I was told in CVS, and then I was told in.
so they alerted
Shaw's.
you at the stores.
And I'm like, and this guy, mind you, was on my phone, in my pocketbook the whole way.
Of course, he wants to make sure that you do it and that you don't say anything.
By the second time, I was really getting upset. And so I finished the whole 9 yards, called my son, hysterical, call the police, Mom, so I did. I went right over to the Millis police, about 9 o'clock at night and everything, just a nightmare. But the fallout is is the nightmare to this thing. It just doesn't end.
So in a situation like that, again, it doesn't have to be this late. You could have a notebook that you keep by wherever you keep your phone during the day or night, so that you have those phone numbers. Your PayPal. You can put the PayPal phone number for customer service on the back, one that you verify. You always want to make sure you verify these phone numbers as trusted phone numbers. that when you, don't Google PayPal and click into it. You want to go get your statement or your, whatever, however you pay, you receive your monthly statements from PayPal. Go into that, find the phone number through that. You always want to make sure that it's a trusted number because unfortunately it was a tough way to realize that they have scam. If you Google it, you could be contacting a scam.
Well, again, I wasn't.
And they sound, I'm sure they
I don't
sounded
think.
like they were there to help you.
Oh,
We're going to help you resolve
I'm
this.
thanking this guy because he's so
Yes.
helpful with all this
Yeah.
computer stuff. Oh my God, if I could ever see him, I swear to God, I'd get a gun and that'd be it. I'd be in jail, I don't care, and I'm a nurse, I don't care.
Sadly, he is sitting in a busy call
Oh,
center, and there are probably hundreds of scammers that are sitting in this busy call center overseas doing the exact same thing
Yeah.
to people of all ages. Again, it's not a matter of intelligence. These people are good at what they do.
Oh, brainwashed, that's what I
Yes,
think.
they know what to
Totally
say to
brainwashed.
make people react without thinking rationally.
Yeah.
They instill a sense of urgency. It's got to be
Oh,
done
yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And they instill a sense of fear.
Mm-hmm.
They could instill a sense of excitement, like you've won a prize. And with the prize winning thing, I've received phone calls on that. I don't know if you've received them, or a letter with
Yeah.
what looks like a real check in the mail and things like that. And people get excited. And they usually will ask you to pay, oftentimes with gift cards, the administrative fees and the taxes. And once we receive that via Target gift cards, because they always have what sounds like a plausible reason to pay with gift cards. Oh, it's the quickest, easiest way, and we can turn it in. That is a red flag. And if they say that you want a prize, you don't have to pay to win a prize. Yes.
Changing the subject to email, I get so much spam mail. I have AOL. It's horrible. And there's a thing to block it, and they use phony IP addresses. So you still keep getting those annoying spam emails. I understand the only way to get rid of it is to change your email address.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, yeah, or you can just keep sending them off to junk and spam and
Make sure
There
you
is
delete them.
another-
and
make
don't
sure you
open them.
delete them, yes.
Don't open
Make
them.
sure you don't click on a link accidentally, and just delete them.
It's gotten out of hand.
It's so
It's
out of hand.
crazy. I can't-
And oftentimes with the emails, it could say Comcast or Netflix, or that Netflix, that's a big one. And it will have what looks like the real Netflix logo, and you can have, if you click the contact information, it will have information on there, and the English may be perfect. Sometimes you might be able to tell just by the way
Yeah,
things are
right.
written.
Yeah.
You can't trust that, because it's very easy for them to copy and paste a logo, and they can really kind of clone an account, but you're putting you could get the email that says that your payment information needs to be updated,
Yeah.
or your account is gonna expire.
These people can actually access what you're looking at on the net, like going to different websites and steal your email address.
So you want to make your searches private too. That's something that's a good idea. 'Cause I don't know if you've ever noticed,
Yeah,
anybody that might be on
VPN.
social media, if you search, say you're looking for a new refrigerator and you're comparing prices, and all your ads will be for refrigerators after that.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you go into your settings and change your settings so that you're not, your searches are private. Still, you're going to get these anyways, but anything that you can do to at least reduce the amount of scam emails and phone calls and text messages is,
Yeah, I read that they can actually hack in on the internet and see steal information, email addresses and so forth.
Well, there's a lot
So
of
what
ways
you're
that they can
looking
do
at-
that, and that could be, you might have, signed up for a survey or something online, or given your information on something where they share it, and then it
And they
gets
sell
into,
it to all
and then they sell it, yeah.
That
So,
would be the NIC.
I'm sorry?
That would be the NIC.
Well, you could, I know a lot of people that have done the surveys, if you order something, let's say, at the end,
Yeah.
you can sign up to just to have, I don't know, whatever, however many surveys and
Satisfaction survey.
to help with marketing and things like that, and you'll get, a $10 gift card. And I know people that have done that, and since they've done that, they open up their emails every day and they've got 300 from all kinds of
Spam.
businesses because they sell that information. So it's a good idea too, if you haven't already. A lot of people say, oh, it doesn't work. It actually does reduce, you just don't even know, because that's the scammers and telemarketers are just relentless, and a lot of them don't follow this. But the do not call registry, that number is on here, and the Massachusetts do not call registry. So you want to do both. It will actually reduce the number
What
of
if you did it-
telemarketers.
What if you did it years ago? Do you have to update?
Nope,
it?
you only have to do it once. So there is a scam for that too, where they're calling people saying that you have to update your do not call registration, and you do not have to do that. You just have to do it once, but you have to do it for all your phone numbers, your cell phone number and your landline if you have one. So it will actually reduce the number of phone calls you get. It actually only applies though to telemarketers. So any telemarketer that does call you, you can tell them, I'm reporting you to the do not call registry.
You also shouldn't shop through Facebook. You should-
No,
Facebook.
I got scammed on that.
What is that?
You see a company that you're familiar with, say it's Best Buy or something, and you're in Facebook. You click on the ad and maybe you buy something,
Yes.
and it's not really Best Buy.
shopping, you really only want to shop with people,
You gotta go
with
out,
companies.
you see something you
stores
think
that
you
you-
might like, go out and go into Best
Facebook is
Buy.
full of ads to buy this, to buy
Yes.
that, to buy this,
Yeah.
to buy this. It's more.
It's not a place to do any kind of shop, unless you're if you're going onto Marketplace and you're
Right.
very careful to go onto your local like yard sale, maybe Millis yard sale. I know my town has a yard sale. And you want to make sure that you're very, very careful with that too. But to click on the ad links, you're just inviting more.
And it looks
More
real
chances
when
to be
you click on
scammed.
it, it looks exactly like the regular site. They mirror it somehow.
I get those more than I get emails.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's awful. It actually takes away the enjoyment of using social media. Yes.
When I when I was at the grocery store, Shaw's, last week, I picked up I wanted to buy a $15 gift card. And when I went to the register, the young guy that was at the register said, were you asked to buy this? I went,
I
"What?"
love that they're doing that.
I said, what? I'm sorry? And he goes, has somebody asked you to buy this? And I go, no, I'm buying it as a gift. And he goes, okay. And this was a young guy. I was
think
amazed.
a lot of them don't do it. It may have a little
Right.
sign at where you can
Yeah.
swipe your card. It may say, if you're buying a gift card,
Right.
if you were asked to do this over the phone,
I
blah,
liked
blah, blah.
it. Yeah.
It actually has saved a lot of people in the past. I'm sorry?
Sorry. Related to the conversation, not my job. I'm a former Shaw's employee
Oh.
over in Medway, and we got trained to do that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
excellent.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you ever have anybody who said that they were doing it because of a phone call?
I personally didn't, because I didn't work there for very long, but some of my coworkers did, because it was around the holidays. We would get
Oh, wow.
a notice from our
Right.
managers to.
Yeah.
We usually didn't do it if you were just buying one gift card. It was usually if
Yeah.
you see somebody
With a
buying,
bunch. Yeah.
it was a certain limit of
Yeah, I don't know,
if
you
you
asked me,
get.
I just bought one, it was $15 to Target.
It's fantastic though, because it has saved people
nice.
from being scammed. There was one, a young guy like him, who it was at Target, and there was a person that was buying like $300 worth of cards, and he asked, and they said, no, I have to buy these cards, and he asked her again and said, was this from a phone call? And she said yes, but it was for the grandparent scam.
Oh, yeah.
And, thankfully, she didn't buy them and she didn't give them out. But again, everyone is vulnerable because I know of, in Norfolk County, a retired police officer who was scammed. And this was about, 7 years ago. And as soon as, and this is usually what happens, as soon as he gave the numbers on the back of the gift cards with the PIN numbers, as soon as he hung up, he said, "Oh, what did I do?" And that's usually what happens. That's why it's always a good idea to take a deep breath, make a phone call, call one of your kids or a friend, call the Council on Aging or the local police, call our office. Just talk to somebody and say, listen, they're telling me that I have to pay $1,500 with Target gift cards for the IRS.
Yeah.
And that's, as you're saying, you'll probably say, oh my gosh. But that's when they instill that fear, like you're gonna lose your house, you're gonna be arrested, or something's gonna happen to your grandchild, or whatever scam they're using. They want you to be afraid. They don't want you to talk to anyone, and that's usually what they say. Did he say don't talk to anybody?
Well, what he said to me was don't contact the bank for 2 days. So that of course never happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened. Well, you know what I mean. They got called right away.
Somebody said that it was either Social Security, this is a while ago, or the IRS. They will never contact you by phone for a payment or, or even the banks.
They won't. Nor would they ever, and this is no government agency, no law enforcement agency, and no business would ever say, you've got 4 hours to pay $3,000 in gift cards, or you're going to be under arrest, or your child is going to jail, or you're going to lose your house or your car, or you're going to win this big prize. It doesn't happen that way. But they're, like I keep saying, that they're so good at what they do and how they say it. They've had a lot of practice, the scammers. So they take out your kind of reasoning and they instill that fear, and you don't think about it until after you've given your personal information or your hard-earned money. Somebody had mentioned, was it you, about you gave access to.
Yeah, my phone.
Right. So if it was your computer or your tablet, whatever it is, they now have access to everything. So they can install a virus, and then they'll say, and usually this is when you get a phone call that, your computer has a virus. I always tell them, well, that's funny, I don't have a computer, and hang up the phone. That's if you answer the phone. Hopefully you don't answer the phone because you don't recognize it as a family member or a friend. But if you get a text message, that asks you to click a link. That could be, you could just be inviting them into your tablet, your phone, your computer. A lot of times I know this has happened to me on my laptop. I've had a pop-up that says I have a virus, and it's frightening because it will have an alarm with it that says, my personal information is being used on the dark web, or fraudsters have my usernames and my passwords for all of my accounts, my social media, or that my personal information is being used in a criminal way, and there's no way to get rid of that pop-up.
Except
and that's
if you shut your computer.
You have to, that's right. And a lot of people, it's happened to me. Thankfully, I knew what it was. And you can either, hit Control-Alt-Delete, or shut down your computer, or if it's a laptop, close it. If you don't know how to shut it down, close it, and have your neighbor or a family member or a friend, or bring it here and have them help you out. Bring it to the police department and say, I have this, and it's scared. I'm scared that this is actually legitimate, and they'll assure you that it's not. And but you never want to click the link or make the phone call to the phone number that's listed on there. I actually have made the phone call, again, only because I want to share the information. And I want to hear what their directions are. And it's usually to hit certain keys, and by doing so, I would be allowing them access. And I always pretend that I don't know what they're talking about, and oh, that key's not working, and I keep them. I also try to keep them busy so they're not making any phone calls to other people. Or they will tell me to go to a certain email address, and there's too many to even to list. And those email addresses, websites. Once you go into those websites, you're allowing them remote access. And they can install a virus, which then they'll tell you, now you have to pay $500 in gift cards for us to remove that virus, as they're stealing all your personal and financial information and your usernames and your passwords, and they can sell that information, they can do whatever they want with it. And they can steal all your money. So you never want to follow any of those instructions. You want to make sure that if you cannot get rid of a pop-up by Control-Alt-Delete or whatever kind of computer you have, if it's a laptop, just close it, let the battery wear out, unplug your computer, whatever you have to do, or talk to somebody ask somebody for help. You can bring it here, whatever you have to do. You just never ever want to click the link or make the phone call to. And it could be a phone call or it could be a pop-up on your.
If you do online banking and you want to access your account, is it best just to use a bank that will send you a text to access it for security reasons?
You mean like?
Is that a lot safer?
So it's a good idea to have a couple of ways to authenticate your account. So it could be, they ask questions. In order to get in, it'll, what was your mother's maiden name? Some of those questions can be found by doing some searches of you on the computer. So you always want to make sure you have a password that you don't use across all of your accounts. You want to make sure that your questions, you choose difficult questions that can't be found on your social media page or by searching you. And then you can also do the text. But you want to make sure that if you get a text randomly, when you're not trying to sign in and use it, that you don't fall for any kind of scam that way. So unfortunately, we have to protect our personal and financial information like we do our health. We have to take care of it like our health. So take those extra steps, because it's easier to take those extra steps than to try to resolve it afterwards. And then when you've been scammed or somebody steals your identity, which a lot of things fall under identity theft. Identity theft is any fraudulent use of your personal information, financial or personal information. So if anybody's ever been a victim of identity theft or given information over the phone without even realizing that you did it can cause a lot of heartache. It can be very costly. It can make you angry. It's made people depressed. So it's better to take those steps ahead of time than to have to deal with it afterwards and resolve it and try to recover from any kind of, especially if it's significant loss. So somebody had a question over here. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I was wondering, does VPN offer any kind of protection in any way, shape, or form relative to what we're talking about here?
So it's always a good idea to call and ask. Make sure you're calling a trusted number or go on to the web, see what they offer for any kind of protection. I know, like for instance, with I was saying about T-Mobile, they for free offer. It will say that it's a spam. That's the phone call that's coming. That's spam. So like Comcast and things like, you just have to go in and ask, see what they offer. Sometimes they may offer some services that you may have to pay $1 or $2 a month. But it's I always say, put the pressure on them. You're paying a lot of money for services. Say, what are you going to do to protect me? I don't even look at my phone anymore because every phone call I'm getting seems to be a scam, or it says spam or whatever. Protect me from this. You can buy, if you have a landline, they do have devices that you can set up and attach to your landline that will, I don't know, I think you can set it up so it doesn't ring, or that it will say it's spam or scam, a scam call or a telemarketer, and they're like $25 at Best Buy. But for whatever free services you can get, you just have to actually see what they offer. Kind of like with the protection that I was talking about that Equifax is providing since the breach. There's a lot of, for instance, my Discover card. They provide me with some identity theft protection. You just have to like read the statements, see what they offer, some auto insurers and some life insurance agency. There's so many different ways that you can get free protection. You just have to see if they offer it. I signed up for Discover. It's free. I have that little added protection. If I wanted to pay for more, I could actually get even more protection from my Discover card. So it's just a matter of doing some homework. Take a look at the back of your statement. Some utility companies might offer a little identity theft protection. So it's definitely worth reading what you, yes.
So, well, I liked what you said about not rushing in even though you think you should immediately do it. We've just signed up, we're getting into that, Social Security, Medicare, all that stuff. So I was actually getting real phone calls back from Social Security, but I let them go on the answering machine, and then I'd go in and call Social Security and say, did somebody call me? And then they
From a
connect you.
trusted number you had, right?
That's from the actual site and such, but it's hard not to do that. And in the same way, I've had friends and other people I know who've had their emails or Facebook accounts compromised, hacked. So if you get something, you found out your email was phished and everybody's getting things, is the best thing to do just go in and change your passwords, change your emails?
You should change your passwords, set a schedule.
Yeah.
Put it on your calendar, change passwords. And you can actually, keep a notebook somewhere safe where
Yeah.
no one, if anybody comes in your house and takes it, you really want to keep it someplace safe. Where you keep all your passwords and your usernames and change them. Like I said, put it on your calendar to do it every few months or something. A lot of people, it's easy to forget your passwords. It happens to us all the time in my house. I forget Netflix and Hulu and this and that. Because of that, a lot of people just use the same password for all their accounts. Well, if someone gains access to one account by using your username and password, you've now just given them access to all your other accounts.
Google Chrome will actually store all that. You can go in
Right,
and
so
look
there
it
is a
up,
service,
but I don't
password
know
manager.
how safe that is.
Oh,
You go into
Right.
tools.
But then you wonder, can that be hacked? So I always equate it to Equifax, which you would think would be a very safe place for all your personal and financial information. That's with that's their business. They store it. And that was breached,
Right.
and it was huge. And that was 2017 that was, and it had been happening for a long time, and it went undetected. So if it can happen to Equifax, I always think that can happen to anyone. But there are password manager apps and things like that. You just want to make sure that you use something that's good and safe and protected. Yes.
National Grid was hacked, and that's protected by military cybersecurity.
Right? Yeah.
Hacked by the Russians, so the Chinese. Guess they're a little bit better than we were at that day.
It just goes to show you. I mean,
Yeah.
we're relying on technology, which it changes every day, and it's a wonderful thing. The internet is such a great thing, but it's also it can be dangerous and scary.
wild
Yes.
That's how these
So when you said the
countries
Equifax, but
find-
also I have had 3 at one time. So I'm wondering how much free can I get out of all of these? The one was Equifax, but I've had an old healthcare provider way back, and that just happened within the last year also.
A breach.
They were breached, right, they were hacked, and then another, it wasn't CVS, it was another pharmacy, it might have been Walgreens or somewhere. So I had 3 at one time. I said, I'm already
Wow.
getting a freebie, you know, for a year, 2, I forget how long it was supposed to be for, and I got
Take
2
whatever, if
others.
you can get protection for your identity,
It's ridiculous.
take
though.
advantage of it. Sometimes
I mean,
they'll offer
retail.
insurance too, which if you are a victim,
Yep.
they actually help you with the recovery process and cover you financially for up to a certain amount. I think Equifax, they were offering up to like $1 million or something. There is a site, and I think it's called Have I Been Pawned, which I can confirm in a second, but Pond without the A in pond. Have I been PWNED? I saw this was on the news, and so I immediately went in, and you can actually see where your information, and this is based only on your name and your email and your phone number,
Oh.
and it will tell you. And I had a whole bunch, and it was from like just old apps that I had, and granted, they didn't have a lot of information. They didn't have my social security and my address and stuff, but they had enough information to maybe set up, fake accounts and things like that. It's a good idea to check that.
Because Anytime Healthcare, they have everything.
Well, see, now that's the thing too, is when we think of a breach, you only hear about the big ones. I believe Marriott, that was global.
Yeah.
Equifax, and you hear of, I think Home Depot had a large breach, but you only hear about the big ones. But little ones happen every single day, and they happen with medical offices, dental, wherever information can be stored and archived. And
Well, it was, I think, Shields MRI, which
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
an MRI like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But yeah, that was part of their.
and that's
system.
one, right, and that's just. Did you find out? Were you able to find out what information that they took? Because
Well,
you should be able to call up and say,
Right, I
Did
did.
they get my
all
social
of
security?
my- Yeah,
They-
all of my information was hacked, so
So they
that
got-
was another freebie service.
"Oh, okay, good."
But all I did was freeze my credit thing.
So you can freeze it.
If you
This-
freeze it, but then you try to open up, an account somewhere, you have to unfreeze it. But not that I'm opening up anything else, I froze it.
Well, so the district attorney, he always tells the story about, he was expecting his credit card statement in the mail. It didn't come, it was about 2 weeks late, so he called and asked why it was late. And they said, no, we sent it to your new address. It was upstate New York or something. And he said, I've been in Quincy my whole life, and he said, I haven't even been to New York in 10 years. And come to find out, they stole his credit card information and used it to buy $15,000 worth of equipment at the Apple store. I don't know if they were ever caught, or I believe when he has told the story that they had their images on cameras and stuff, but I actually never found out if they were caught. So he was a victim of identity theft. He wasn't responsible for it because it was his credit card and he had that protection. But we're all vulnerable. And one of the ways that somebody could have got his information, and I'm going to show you, I brought these to hand out. Your credit card has that strip and the chip, and now all you have to do is like tap your card. You don't even have to swipe it. Or these are RFID protector sleeves. Is everybody familiar with?
You get them at the what is it, the AAA.
Okay.
AAA, you can
I
get
bought
them. A lot of
some.
times, actually, I don't know if they do them anymore, but when you get a new credit card, it would come in a sleeve.
Oh.
Most people would throw that away. That sleeve is actually an RF. It almost felt like paper, but
Yeah.
you couldn't tear it. That was an RFID protector sleeve, and it protected that.
You can get a whole wallet.
You can get a whole wallet. You can actually get a carry-on suitcase that's RFID because of your passports. I actually brought, this is one that I got free from, my glasses on, AARP.
Yeah.
So this would hold a whole bunch.
That's
It's probably not the most attractive, but you can buy them like she has, which are very nice.
But those little ones are nice, they slip right in,
These
wherever
only
you
hold
keep it.
one, but I encourage you to take one for every debit card that you have. But so what we believe happened with the DA, because he had his card on him, his wife had her card, so no one actually stole the physical card. They have somebody, a identity thief could be this size in his pocket, just walking by
No
in a
way.
store, and it takes all the information from that person's card. They can clone your card, they can sell your information.
Well,
But-
on the debit machines, I haven't heard this one for a while, but they used to be, they put like some sort of tape or something. so
They put
that
like
you-
a counterfeit card reader over anywhere
Yeah,
that
so
you could
if
swipe,
you were using-
swipe your card.
You'd be at the bank using the ATM and it would get your information.
Yes, that's why it's always a good idea
To go inside.
to go inside. If you're at the bank, go inside. If it doesn't look right, don't use it. Don't
Well,
take the
I
chance.
wasn't- at the this was years ago, but I wasn't even aware, this was before I became a little more educated.
Yeah.
in how fast and fancy people.
Anywhere you swipe your card, they could have a counterfeit card reader. So it's, I always say, give it a little tug. If it feels loose, don't use it. But they make them look so authentic that a lot of people would never even question them. It could be where you get, I actually just saw it on the news a couple of nights ago. It wasn't in
Cumberland
Massachusetts.
Farm. Right, Cumberland Farm got it.
No, it was actually, it was a gas station.
The Cumberland Farm gas
Oh, was it the gas
station.
station? Okay, okay. And then there was a store, again, not Massachusetts, but it was the employees that were putting on the card readers, yeah. Yeah. So, and they're so authentic looking, they fit right over the real card reader, so it can happen anywhere you swipe your card. So if it doesn't look right, don't take the chance. Go to a different gas pump or go to a different register. Go in the bank. So it could, his information could have been stolen that way and used. But these will protect you from those. They're called skimmers, and it literally could be in somebody's pocket and they just walk right by you. And now they have all your information and it's stored in that little device that they have. And
What was that
so.
site you talked about? I have been what?
Have I been pawned? PWNED. I'm just gonna make sure that is it. I should have written that one down, but I believe it's. I just want to verify because it is. I saw it on the news. Yes. Have I been PWNED.com. It does not ask you to put in your home address or your social security number. You just put in, you can even put in previous email addresses to see if those have been part of some kind of a hack. But like I said, I had just silly apps, games and things like that from a long time ago. And turns out that they were hacked. So it's a good idea just to go on, but it also is a real. It illustrates how many different things that we do, that we put ourselves in a position where our information can be stolen. And again, this does not involve social security numbers and any real financial information or anything like that. But they have information where they could set up fake accounts and things, with your email address. And usually when you have an app on your phone, you have to have some kind of email address with it. So they have access to all that information through these hacks. And when you go on, you could see something from, 20 years ago. So they can be quite old. Yes.
Just FYI to let you know how good these people are. Several years ago, I got informed that someone had hacked into my Army units, all their info, and everybody that was in that unit,
Right.
all their information was all compromised.
Oh, wow.
And so that's the U.S. government.
The U.S. government.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that was several years ago when they first started getting
yeah.
good.
Wow. Yeah, the hacks, like I said, we hear about the big breaches. We don't hear about the thousands of small ones that could happen every single day. I mean, you just have to make sure, again, what are your credit reports? Go through your financial statements. Take advantage of shredding events, especially free ones. So something the district attorney started 8 years ago is helping just heighten awareness of identity theft through shredding events, free shredding events. And we try to hit as many towns as we can every year. We do it in the spring and in the fall. And we can schedule something for, actually, I think
you scheduled
I think
one
we
this year.
I think we have one scheduled already for 2023. You are welcome to come to any of the ones that, I mean, if they're convenient and close by, but you're certainly welcome to come to any of the ones that District Attorney Morrissey sponsors. You don't even have to get out of your car. You can just bring your bags, your bundles, your boxes, whatever it is, fill your car, and it's a box truck. Pull up, we take everything out, we put them in bins, they go into this truck, and you can actually watch, there's a screen, you can watch your documents shred on the screen if you want. But so that is one of the best ways to securely dispose of old documents and identify. You can bring your old passports and license, credit cards, whatever. The only thing that you don't even have to take out staples or take out elastics or anything like that. We just ask that if it's in a 3-ring binder to take it out just because of the metal, but yes.
So if you sponsor it, the DA office, I might trust it. But it's like, how do you know if you bring something to an event that it's actually going to be shredded and not?
So if you were to go to, your DPW or your bank, sponsored shredding, usually they shred it right there on site. But if you don't feel comfortable with somebody leaving with your documents to shred off site, look for one that's shred on site, because you can actually watch it go in. And in those shredding trucks, they can't tape like that movie Argo where they taped all the things back together. That can't happen. I mean, it's shredded very, very small, and it's usually by the end of a shredding event, the truck is half full with just very small, pieces of paper and cardboard and plastic that, from licenses and stuff. So they cannot, I wouldn't worry about anything like that. But I'm sure there are events that say, we're gonna gather everything, fill the truck and bring it back to, the plant and shred it there. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, I know I wouldn't. So take advantage. We do it, it's 3 hours you have to come and get everything done. And
where do we find out where these events?
You'll be able to find out. It should be in the newsletter. I think it's, I wish I wrote it down, but I believe it may be in like April or May. So you have time. Go through your documents. I always say, experts used to say, hold on to your tax documents for 7 years. Now they say 3. I say, let's go in the middle, we'll do 5. So I hold on to 5 years. But it'd be great just to purge your files and in boxes in your attic at home. You can get rid of all that kind of stuff. Things that you've been holding on to that you don't really need to. We've had people come that have canceled checks from 40 years ago, and now they're finally, and they smell musty and stuff. And I love to see that, because they get to go home and not worry about all that stuff in the attic or the garage or the basement. So you just want to just shred what you can. It's a good idea for junk mail. Keep a bag in one of your cupboards, and when you get junk mail, throw it in there. When that's full, just stick it in the garage until you're ready to go to a shredding event, and you can get rid of your documents
But
that
they don't
way.
need a dumpster.
Yeah, right. I know. Well, you can minimize the amount of junk mail that you receive by. I don't know if I put it on that list. I believe I might have. It's to opt out. So that it is on here. So you can opt out of pre-screened, like when you get things for credit cards and insurance and Geico and all that. And then there's another one that you actually have to pay to, but I think it's worth it. I think it's $3. You write a check for $3, and it's Direct Marketing Association. I can get it to the Council on Aging, and they can share it. Pay $3, and you can greatly reduce the amount of junk mail that you receive by doing that. it's Direct Marketing Association, DMA, but I can, and it's, unfortunately, it has to be done by mail, and you send a check or whatever, but I'll get that information so you can do that. And there's also, you can reduce the number of robocalls you receive by going on to NoMoRobo, NoMoRobo.com, and reduce the number of robocalls that you get that are like legal robocalls. Other than, I don't know if you get robocalls from the Council on Aging. A lot of them use robocalls for events and cancellations and things, but it wouldn't apply to this. It would just apply to like the ones that are the telemarketing kind of things. Does anybody else have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
You had put on here about recovering from scams and fraud and everything. Well, I'm trying to recover from scams.
I have.
Terrible scam.
So one of the best resources for that is the Federal Trade Commission. And they have recovery plans. You can file a report with them.
Which I did.
You did?
Yeah.
And have you received anything for a recovery plan from them?
No.
You haven't, okay. I have, this is actually a Federal Trade Commission booklet, and so basically your personal information, your identity was stolen. So there's a recovery plan in that.
Okay.
So you want to just follow those instructions.
Okay.
But I also brought, and if I don't have enough, I will make sure I get more here. This is called Money Smart for Older Adults. It's a resource guide that it's just not about being money savvy. It's also, there's a lot of information on common scams and investment fraud. And also there's a quiz in the back to show, if you take it, you'd be surprised, with some of your responses, some of the things you might get wrong. This is one of my favorite things to give out. It's actually put out by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the FDIC, and it's to try to help people identify scams and fraud and what to do if you've been a victim. Again, it's one of my favorite things to give out, and they stopped making them.
Oh, boy.
So what I recommend is when you take one, once you're done with it, pass it along, because a lot of people, they might hear about a scam on the news and it doesn't really resonate, and then they receive a phone call and they could fall for it. But when you've talked to friends and you're having or your family members and you're talking about a scam call or a text or something, you remember that more because somebody has encountered it, whether they've been fallen victim to it or they're just sharing a phone call they received or a text or email. You're more likely to recognize a scam if you were to encounter it yourself. So I always say share what you hear. If you read about something or somebody tells you about something like, I received a call from Medicare and they asked me this and that and it was a scam. If you were to get that phone call, this is what we talked about. So talk about it. Talk about it with your young family members and friends. They are just as vulnerable, if not more, than everybody else because they're so quick with technology that they react quicker to an email or a text message. I know so many people of all ages that have fallen, especially for the Amazon and the Netflix and update your financial information, your payment information, those kind of, or you have a package that can't be delivered because it's missing, the nut. I don't know if anybody received that. My whole family received that a lot. You did.
Multiple times.
Yeah. We have a package and it will say USPS.com.
Just go delete.
Right, but so it looks authentic though because they use their
UPS,
tech.
not just UPS.
I'm sorry?
Sometimes it's been for UPS, not
US Postal Service, it could be
Not-
UPS, DHL, whatever,
And-
FedEx.
yeah.
FedEx was, I received those a lot. They're not really, that, they're just putting that into caller ID.
Saying, oh, we can't deliver this package.
Right.
Or click here to.
Click here to put your house number
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
things like that. They're not gonna notify you that way. So, but a lot of people fell for that. So those are the things that you, like he said, you just can't trust, anything that comes through email, your phone, or your text message, if it's not a family member or friend. You always want to verify. You want to make sure you verify through a trusted number, trusted source, talk to somebody, give the Council on Aging a call, police, they're there to help you. They don't want you to fall victim. And keep in mind those red flags. That sense of urgency, sense of fear, or excitement, demanding payment by either cash or gift card or wired money, and being told not to tell anyone. That's a huge one that is usually part of it. Like she was told not to contact her bank. What kind of business would say, don't contact your bank for a couple of days? Well, it's her bank account. They didn't want her to contact her bank because they didn't want her to see what was happening and for it to be
And
stopped.
part of what he said was, the money had to go, once I bought them, the money had to go into this particular bank. Because it would then, it was to go to somebody and then the money would eventually come back to me. $3,500. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
They
big
say look
time,
out for Zelle.
big time.
But again,
I mean, it was slowly introduced.
but they make things sound.
So succinctly, oh my God.
Now she could be saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe I felt that. But at the time, they make it sound like, okay, oh, that makes sense. Why do I have to pay with gift card? And they'll say, well, it's quick and we can turn it into cash
Amazing
fast.
cash, that was the key.
And yes, and it avoids, this and that, and we can
And
can circumvent-
the gift card part wasn't introduced initially, the whole part, the PayPal account being impacted was the thing. So you slowly went, and this is what we need to do. And then eventually it was the idea, well, the way we're gonna be able to do this is by getting the cards.
So they make it sound a bit like I keep saying I'm a broken record, but they are good at their job. This is what they do all day, every
That's
day.
amazing.
They know what to say, they know how to say it. Right, so don't answer your phone,
I get one that all the time says, 3 more days, your McAfee will be expired.
Yeah.
2 more days, and then 1, and then 3, and 2
Yeah,
more.
right.
900 days.
That is the
And then
scam for
have someone
the
steal your
computer
stuff.
tech scam. And,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just always knock them off.
You do want to have some cyber protection, but you only want to get that through a trusted source.
3, 2, 1, and 3, 2, 1, every 3 days.
Yeah, you don't want to do it if you receive a phone call or a pop-up or something like that.
I get them every day.
Yeah, you
I
just.
figure by now, up to 300 days of lost my protection.
I get more scam calls than I do personal calls.
Me too.
I get them from
Me
the
too.
police.
Oh, right, that's a
Raising
big
That's
money.
a
one.
humdinger.
So you also have to be wary of
Police.
scam charities. As a rule of thumb, my husband and I, we always give to the same charities. Wounded Warrior, we do Special Olympics, we have the same charities, and those are the ones that
We don't
St.
even- I
Jude.
do St. Jude, but I don't even answer their calls either.
Yeah, well, I don't either, only because I know I'm gonna do
Okay,
my
by mail.
annual, right. And then, of course, like, if there's a local, somebody that's sick or whatever, those kind of events. But when you receive a phone call and they say that it's a charity you've never heard of, or it could sound very similar to what you have heard of in the past, it could
Just
be,
tell them you do not donate.
you do
over
not
the-
donate. But in this
Can't
book,
say that.
that's a rule of thumb, don't answer the phone. But you can always say, no, I don't donate unless I do my research first. Give me your information. If they pressure you, no charity's gonna say, No, we need it now,
You
today.
let them go on.
They want you to do your research because they,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
If you want, I can leave my information so you can contact me and I can try to
All right,
help you as much as,
okay, I really appreciate that.
my pleasure,
I'll take
yeah.
any help I can get.
Thank you.
So no charity is going to say, nope, it's gotta be in the next 24 hours or that's it. They want you to do your research. They want you to learn more about what they do. That's a red flag. Right now, there are just so many, and it's all year long. But if there is any kind of tragedy, natural disaster,
Oh, yeah.
I get them.
GoFundMe stuff, like
Yeah,
that.
if there's a hurricane somewhere, it's the hurricane relief. If there's a tornado and it wipes out a community, then they might have 100
don't
fraudulent charities. I'm sorry?
I said you don't know.
Right now, the case in Cohasset with the woman who's been, there are, and they've actually, the newspaper and the news and Cohasset police have sent out warnings that there are fake charities
You get them on Facebook as well.
collecting money. There's a lot of fake, the
Facebook-
GoFundMe, you might, yeah. So you
Facebook
have to
has-
be,
There's hardly anything that I don't get that's not an ad. And it's not even
Right.
supposed to be that.
Right.
Ad meaning give money to this or we're raising money
Yeah.
for that. I just go ding,
Yeah.
next.
but before you give to any kind of charity, you want to do your homework. And in here, there's information. There's a website called Charity Navigator. You can check there. There's several websites, but and I believe there's one on this list. So before you give to any charity, you want to make sure you're doing your homework so that your money is going where you intend it to go and for the cause you intend it to go to. And any of those, the charitable causes that pop up, like the one I was just telling you about, there's a GoFundMe for the woman missing, for the family, the children of the woman missing in Cohasset. There might be 10 of them. You want to make sure if that's something that you want to give to, take a deep breath and do some homework and make sure that everything is
Facebook
legitimate.
has tons of that stuff, and then they also say, no, don't do that. But they'll still keep, don't report to Facebook if you have these ads asking for money, for this, asking for money, but they keep
Ignore
right
the
on
ad-
doing it.
Yeah, you got to ignore those ads.
No, but they say,
I know people-
report it to Facebook. But Facebook, how?
I know they don't do anything. They make money from it. So,
Yeah, so.
I know people that have put deposits on
Electronics.
cars that were for sale on Facebook that didn't exist. They actually just copy and paste all the photos, put a nice little ad. They usually add that they are a veteran that they're in the service, an active military service person who's now deployed and they need to sell their car. That is a very common one. And they'll say you can hold it by sending, they ask for like eBay gift cards and things like that. You don't want to buy your car without seeing it in person. They usually will say, and give every reason why you can't come see it before and test drive it and things like that. They just want you to put a deposit down. They may say that they have 100 people that are interested. Put your $100 or $500 deposit with eBay gift cards or Target gift cards or wired money, whatever it may be. They do it with dogs. That's huge.
Oh, give money to this dog rescue.
And they'll, not dog rescues, I mean sales, trying to sell
Oh,
puppies.
they sell the,
Yeah.
they're not supposed to do that either. This is Facebook.
Right, but they do it. And they do it not just
on.
on Facebook, they could do it on Craigslist, they could do it on really, anything on the
And you're
computer.
not supposed to believe
So you
it.
just have to do your homework, and always take a deep breath before you ever give out any personal or financial information. Take a deep breath. If you have to, hang up the phone. Hopefully you didn't answer it if you didn't recognize the phone number as a family member or friend. But, or walk away from your computer, take a deep breath, make a phone call to somebody and say, listen, this is what I was gonna give, my credit card to or my personal information to. What do you think? And try to get somebody else's opinion. Or take a deep breath and say, what is this? Do I have to do this? No. So, and you'll save yourself a lot of money and heartache and
Maybe it's not even safe to say report this to Facebook, maybe that's not even safe either.
No. On Facebook, just ignore anything that's not
Delete.
right. And you can't, also on your private messages, I've seen reports of people receiving messages from others asking for money, or usually it's financial assistance. And it could be somebody they haven't seen in 40 years since they were in high school, which was that for them was the red flag that their account was hacked. So you have to be very, very careful with your private messages on social media as well, because somebody could easily hack that information through phishing, where they just get your, or through hacks, where they get your name and your email addresses. So, and they can set up an account. So you just have to be very, very careful what you respond to and what information you give out. Yes.
Last year I had checks stolen out of a mailbox here at the town hall.
Oh.
And they've retrofitted
Yes.
the mailboxes, but
Now they're going after the keys for
yeah,
the
so
mailboxes.
it's still not really totally safe, right?
Well, what I would do, again, kind of like with the ATMs, wherever you swipe your card, you want to make sure it's safe. Where you put your mail,
Go inside.
go inside. Just, get your steps in, go inside. But unfortunately, because now, they're holding letter carriers at gunpoint for that key to open those blue boxes.
I
Yeah.
understand you're supposed to go to the post office.
Well, that's what
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Oh, when
That's the
you
only safe way to do it
right,
now.
it really is. Unless your letter carrier comes to your house and you can hand them your outgoing mail.
I read somewhere that they actually sometimes they dump them in
They
the
dump them in the blue
mailbox.
boxes. Well, again, you just, when you can, you just go in, because once they retrofitted the boxes is when they started going after the keys.
You know, when-
So you just always, unfortunately,
yeah, some of the
Um,
other carriers will-
you have to,
pick it up on a roll.
again, like I said, with the, if you're at an ATM and you're nervous that this could be counterfeit, the card reader could be counterfeit, go inside the bank. If you're nervous about that, definitely go inside the post office, especially if you're mailing things with personal information on it, or,
They took 2 of my checks and bleached them and wrote them for a lot of money.
were you responsible for the money, or?
No, the bank sucked it up.
We all
600
paid for
and
it.
900.
Wow.
And they bleached the check?
They bleached,
So
they
you,
bleached who it's made out to and the amount.
yeah, so they
leave your
say if you
signature.
use a gel pen, they can't bleach out a gel marker pen. So maybe,
But they can still get your account number.
Right.
Right. So I had to close the account.
but you can also be a little proactive, so contact your bank and say, I will only allow, you can limit your withdrawals with your bank, and without,
Well, I do mostly online banking now.
okay.
It took me 6 months
It's awful.
to get over it.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, and you can take these, and if you want to take these. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they can't
I
steal
went
your
into my
credit
settings
card.
on my phone to try to get rid of some of that stuff. And I'm reading through it thinking, oh, this will be great. But then when I got to the point where it said, if it said, are you sure you want to do this? Because if you do, then you won't get some other kind of notifications. And I thought, well, I like being notified, like when my bill is due and stuff like that, so I stopped. So can you tell me, like,
What, I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of that.
I'm sorry, I went into my settings on my phone because I wanted to get rid of some, not to have so much junk come through. And so they have their privacy thing, right?
Oh, okay, so for your searches and stuff, so if I were you, if you could set aside some time, go to your carrier, go to the actual authorized carrier. If it's T-Mobile, ask them for help, because I know I have an iPhone. So I have on my iPhone, I have it so that my searches, because I don't want to get a million ads for when I was recently looking for a stove. I don't want to get those ads for everything, and the idea that things are being kind of exploited in that way, like I want to prevent that. So I have gone in, and you can just you know what, you can set up your accounts to get notifications if that was the warning that you had. Just you can contact your individual accounts and ask them, or you can go to your authorized provider and say, how can I do this and still get my notifications?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other questions?